Hello everyone, and welcome to this first Filigran webinar. We're really glad to have you with us today. The purpose of the webinar is to show you the OpenCTI case management feature, how you can optimize incident response and digital forensics and investigation within the platform. In this webinar, we'll have a scenario. Let's say we are a company in the energy industry. This company has been targeted by an unknown Windows implant. We have an environment and information systems where we are protected by endpoint detection and response as well as a next-gen SIEM. Our endpoint detection and response solution will be Tanium Threat Response and is connected to OpenCTI. The second thing is the SIEM is Microsoft Sentinel, which is also connected to OpenCTI. Not only all indicators and signatures such as YARLs and Sigma rules are sent to both of those platforms, but also alerts and cases are gathered on a regular basis to ensure aggregation in the OpenCTI case management system. Let's jump straight away into the platform. The first thing about the integration is in the data sharing section, you can find all the what we call the live streams that are used to send data to those third-party systems. The first thing is about Tanium Threat Response. We have made here a very simple stream where you have all indicator with a specific label or tag which are sent to the Tanium Threat Response platform for threat hunting purposes. On Microsoft Sentinel, it's the same when we're using a different labels, detection Microsoft Sentinel. We also have other third-party systems in our information system environments, leveraging a, a stream based on indicator with a confidence level greater than 80, so probably true, and that are not revoked. We also have like several other third-party systems such as firewalls that are directly consuming a CSV feed based on observables with a score greater than 80. Since we are a company in the energy sector, we have configured some alerts about threats that may target us. We have configured basically two live triggers. Live triggers in OpenCTI are able to generate notification or webhooks as well as email. We have two live triggers. The first one is all the new campaigns targeting the energy industry based on this kind of filters like campaigns target energy. We also have another trigger about any report landing into the platform that contains the energy sector. And here we have a match from today, where November 7, and we have like two alerts here. The first thing is a new campaign named Campaign Energy Industry, and now November 2023 targets energy, and we also have a report containing this sector. It seems that this report is related to that specific campaign. If we click here, we can see the relationship between the campaign and the sectors. And what is interesting here is that this relationship is not directly related to the energy sector. Actually, it has been inferred because this campaign is targeting the oil sector and also the electricity sector. This kind of relationship are automatically created by the rule manager based on reasoning engine and inference rules. If you go into the customization section, we'll find like the rule engine that you can enable, and based on this, those rules will create new relationship and new knowledge. Here the rules is targeting propagation via belonging. That means that if a campaign A targets electricity and electricity is part of energy sector, then this campaign targets the energy sector. Let's go straight to the campaign. We have a few knowledge about these campaigns. The first is the description. We know that we have a highly sophisticated cyber threat campaign emerge with advanced TTPs and it may be linked to cybercriminal or nation-state actors. It seems also to target oil refineries, but also other kinds of entities in the energy sector. What we'll do is to see that we have actually 10 indicators about these campaigns and a few other things like TTPs. In those indicators, we have 1 year rules and a few other sticks patterns, including IP addresses and hashes. What we will do is we will send all of that for immediate threat hunting. And that can be done quite easily within the platform by taking this campaign to the status ending. So right now, as we're doing that, we'll see that if I go back to knowledge and indicators and going here, it will start to, sorry, it will start to be directly launched into Tanium. So for instance, this specific IP addresses has landed in Microsoft Sentinel and will really soon land also in Tanium threat response. So if we go back to Intel here and we're looking for this specific IP, it's starting to be pending here and has been added right now. All that is now pending for threat hunting purposes. But what is the mechanisms behind that? Behind that is we have like the automation engine. And this automation engine is quite like simple to understand. The first thing is listen any creation or any modification on campaigns with a status hunting. Then we have like a complex rules here that will resolve all the relationship about these campaigns. This can be a sector, this can be an indicator or anything else. Then we'll just like filter everything and just only keep the indicators. Then on the bottom of this playbook, we'll add to all these indicators the label threat hunting Tanium as well as detection Microsoft Sentinel. And then we'll send that to ingestion. Here we have like, the different steps about like the last execution of this. What is interesting is in Tanium, this IP addresses is now active on-demand scan on all computers in our environment. If I go also to Microsoft Sentinel and to threat intelligence, I will find that this IP addresses is now here in the threat intelligence section and has been ended right now on November 7, 10 p.m. Let's go back here. We may have like new alerts based on this activity. And what is the most important thing here is to remind that all those alerts will land into the event section. And the event section is just the gathering of all the alerts coming from Tanium or Microsoft Sentinel, or for instance the Outlook plugin that we'll develop in the future that will allow people to open cases directly from their mailbox. So let's go back to Tanium. We have like 10 new alerts here and 10 new alerts about like 2 IP addresses that has been seen in our environment and that just like popped in. Let's just like refresh about this. We'll see that those alerts are coming in into the platform and those alerts are related to these indicators. What was also interesting is if I go back to the event sections, I now have like true positive sightings to those 2 indicators within Tanium threat response system. Automatically, we also have like some cases directly open here. Here it's because we have also an automation about transforming automatically any high or critical severity incident into cases. Here we are listening for any incidents and we are filtering them on severity critical or high. Then we are resolving all the relationships of those incidents and we are creating a case based on this knowledge. What is what can interest us is maybe to try to investigate all the titanium alerts that we have like in the same day and that seems to be related together. If it's not automatically created, basically we can easily take all those alerts and say, okay, what we need to do, yeah, basically what we'll do is to take all the alerts created by Danium here. I will create a new case based on that. This case will be an incident response. It's not investigation about alerts from Tanium on November 7. We'll also include all the first neighbors here and we'll launch that. This will take a few seconds to create like the new case investigations about alerts on November 7. And what is interesting is here we really start to have like something into the case management system that is correlating all those incidents about like the endpoints, the users, the hashes, and here is like the endpoint for instance. Here is the overview of the case management system. Not only it's contain like the correlated cases that have like common indicators and common observables to other like cases, but also like the origin of the case as the incident and maybe like some observables and some attack patterns. The case can be visualized as a graph, but also, for instance, as as an attack matrix technique. So here we have just the MITRE matrix displayed with all the information we have in this case. We can also easily visualize that as a timeline and having like all the timeline of all the incidents into a case. This is exactly what you can have when something is coming from from Microsoft Sentinel. For instance, this Microsoft Sentinel case has been created based on 3 alerts from Azure Sentinel that can be also correlated together. If we come back here, the case and these empty windows here is really about like the processing and the treatment of this case. You can easily create tasks, but you can also apply task templates. What is important is everything here is customizable. Just as a reminder, for the campaign and for the case, we have what we call workflows. So if I go to the case incident here, you can customize this workflow from you in progress, analyzed, and shared. You can also customize the default attribute of any case. For instance, you can customize the default confidence scale that will be used for the different cases, or even a customizable scale. You can create tasks manually, but the best is to use what we call the case template. Case templates are a list of predefined tasks that will help the analyst to progress under the investigation. Here we have a case template named Windows Malware Detection and Response. If we apply this case template, well, it will automatically create all the tasks needed to be performed in this context. Assess the endpoint states, the detected threats, acquire evidences, etc. Each task can be assigned to people. Let's assign the first one to Germain, to Jean-Philippe, for instance. Let's also assign the second task to Murray. And what we will do is we'll try to perform the second task. So you can open the task here. And what is also important is if you know already OpenCTI, you know that in Sticks we have what we call container of knowledge, like a report that is containing entities and relationship. Here, a task is a kind of container, so it can contain over entities, such as artifacts or malware to be investigated. So you can associate entities within task, or a complex description, or a due date. What we'll do here is to gather the evidences. So let's start with this media creation binded here. What we'll do with Insanium is to download that file. So let's download it right away. So going into the save evidence, we saw like these files has been created and it's a few kilobyte of data. We download that on our endpoint. Obviously, in our environment, the file is downloaded as an encrypted zip file. Let's start to add an entity here. We'll create a new artifact here. We'll just upload that in our system. Sorry, let's retry that. So we'll just like add a new artifact with that we just downloaded. So here is the artifact. We add that to the task here. If I go to that artifact, what we can see it's actually it's actually unzip the encrypted file and automatically gets the different hashes of that. So if you download it from here, it will be automatically downloaded to an encrypted archive. If you go to the data section and you try to download that file, you can download whether the raw file or the encrypted archive here. Also, we started to have some more like automation that are starting to replace things about this. What we can do is easily also to try to trigger the hybrid analysis sandbox as well as the various total connector. We'll see that the hybrid analysis sandbox will start to extract something about the data, and it will create a malware analysis entity. What we will do is we can therefore add that artifact to the specific case with all the data here. But what may be interesting as well is to take like this new IP that seems to have been created right now in the platform, November 7. So what we'll do is we'll take like this IP and for the moment we'll add like manually this IP to this case. When you have a case like this, you can easily start what we call an investigation. And investigations will allow you to directly pivot on the different data here. So we have like some tasks that we need to filter out. So let's select all the tasks and remove that from the investigation. Then what we have is we have this isolated incident and this isolated IPs. So you can easily pivot to see what we have about like these IP addresses. And here we find that hybrid analysis and as well as multiple investigations and over and the hash of our artifact. From here you can find correlation between different things in the platform. Also, when you upload for the first time the artifacts here in the platform, automatically the some enrichment has been triggered. Not all of them, but some of them. This is also part of what we have in the automation section. We have here a playbook to be able to enrich artifact automatically. Basically, this playbook is listening on all new artifacts landed in the platform. It's triggering hybrid analysis sandbox as well as various total and send the result for ingestion. We'll go back in our case and go in the observable section. And what we'll do is to launch a thread ending campaigns also on this IP. This IP will then like land in Titanium as well. So let's go back to the document here and see if the IPs it's also landing there. Oh, that's not an indicator. So let's like do something differently. We can promote that as an indicator, like create and promote an indicator about like these observables. This indicator then will be able like to be used and automatically here the labels are already added. And we see that Tanium and Microsam Sentinel already have that in their environment. Here are the IP addresses. And it started to handle like for more endpoint using end-domain scan. The time we can have alerts on these new IP addresses and maybe found another compromised endpoint in our environment, I would like to make a little wrap up about, you know, in terms of like incident and cases, what you can expect about like reporting and sharing capabilities. The first thing is, as you see here, we have a custom dashboards with like a lot of information about ongoing threats. If I go to the dashboard section here, the first thing is we also have a dedicated dashboards about the energy industry. What are the different subsectors there? What are the top threats targeting energy industry? What are the top malware used by threats targeting energy or top techniques used by threats targeting energy? But obviously, those custom dashboards doesn't limit to threat intelligence. You can also craft custom dashboards for security operations. How many open incident response case? How many total incident response case? What is the distribution by severity? Or the top accounts and top hostname and top IP addresses used in incidents? We can see here we have like system administrator and admin. You can have like also the open task and see who is assigned to what. We can go back to the alert workbench in Tanium to see if we have any match. And we do have this IP addresses here that is actually matching multiple alerts on a Windows 11 endpoint. If we go back here and we go in the event sections and in the sightings will soon appear here to say that we have a true positives based on this on this one. And the sighting is here. We have like the files that is started to be populated as well as the IP addresses here. The last thing we would like to show you during this webinar is the ability also to share information. We have in the data sharing section a stream about shared cases. This means that we take any incident response with the status shared and we'll send that to a remote platform. We have another platform here, demo.opencti.filigran.io, where in the ingestion section we have actually a synchronizer that is consuming that stream. What we'll do is to take like this simple case about like this IP addresses seen there because we think it might be valuable for one of our partner. What we'll do is to put like the status as shared. As soon as I'm doing that, if I go back to the over platform and I go into the case here, it will soon be synchronized directly to that platform. And we now have the case created from the remote stream Filigran, and we can see that the case is exactly the same as in the original platform. We would like to thank you for following and watching this webinar. This video will be posted on YouTube as well as on our channels. We hope it has been useful for you to understand all the case management features that we have in the platform. Basically, also writing reports and writing a wrap up using assistance is scheduled in the platform. You can right now use the data the content section to be able like to write a report and then to export it. Obviously, it's always possible to export the case into various formats such as PDF, JSON file, or CSV file. Thank you very much and have a nice evening, everyone.